Hey, Shalom.
Shalom.
Brothers of Great Millstone Charlotte coming at you with a Lord willing edifying lesson through the Holy Spirit. Before we get started with this lesson, as always, we want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Cha'akudash, and double honors, as always, to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone that have taught us this truth and that do rule well. Peace, blessings, and mercy, as always, be unto the house of David. Habayafta Wadah, the hopeful elect. To you all we say Shalom.
Shalom.
All right. Again, Brothers of Great Millstone Charlotte coming at you once again through the Holy Spirit, going into news and prophecy. All right. And as we see, we are nearing the time of Jacob's trouble. We are nearing the times of the end. And just listening to the Apostle Rachag's lesson earlier, now is not the time to be falling out of this truth, right? Now is the time to strengthen ourselves more in the covering of Yahweh Ba'Shem Shai, because the days of evil are here. Okay. So as we're gonna go into this news and prophecy, right, where we're gonna link the things that are happening in the world according to biblical prophecy to make sense of these evils that we're in, right, we're gonna show you that the will of Yahweh Ba'Shem Shai is faithful and true. You got anything up?
Blah.
God. Give me one, bro. I'm gonna go ahead and play this video. Let me know if you hear the sound coming through.
The National News Desk, America's News Now. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Dee Dee Gatton. And after weeks of threatening to deploy National Guard troops to fight crime in Chicago, the Trump administration has launched a deportation crackdown in Illinois. Ryan Smith at the Live Desk to explain who's being targeted. Ryan?
Taking out live to Chicago here tonight, a live look there where it was another violent weekend in the Windy City with at least 7 people killed, a dozen people injured. The Trump administration now saying that a decision to deploy the National Guard is imminent.
I mean, probably won't give you a heads up it's happening. It's look, it's all these people need to understand this is dangerous stuff we're doing, and we're not going to give in broadcast what we're doing. But National Guard is always on the table.
DHS now rolling out Operation Midway Blitz, a new surge here of immigration enforcement in search of what they are calling the most violent criminals. They say this operation could last for weeks, specifically.
So it ain't even about the fact that it's tied to immigration and customs enforcements. This is tied to cracking down on quote unquote crime, right? Which Esau has allowed for these cities to spiral out of control, right, by way of his poor leadership. And now he's trying to institute order, right, as a means to curtail the people into his new world order, right, where he has more control, more surveillance over the masses of the people. You got anything up?
Just, land backing off that point. He created this problem, right? And now he's presenting this, like it says, this blitz as a solution to the problem that he brought forth, man, right? And like you may mention, they're using this ultimately to seize more control. The same way they used the C-19 situation, they're about to use the creation of these YNs as a way to gain more control over the masses, man.
Yep, that's it. I'm gonna grab this right quick. This is Proverbs chapter 29 and verse 16. When the wicked are multiplied, transgression increaseth, but the righteous shall see their fall, right? And that's what we've seen, right? Esau being the head, right, and the people following under his lead. We've seen transgression increase. We've seen evils increase amongst these cities, amongst these communities. And again, it all predicates back to the head. Esau has allowed for these problems to fester so that he now has grounds to come in and do damage. And we're going to start to see the judgment be executed on a high level.
Yep.
Because we're in that time of Jacob's trouble. We are preparing to see the fall of 2/3 niggas, man, that wanted to walk in the way of the way of Esau Edom, right? Walking after this man's fashion, right? As opposed to taking heed to the prophets of Yahweh Ba'Shem Shai and reforming themselves. Go ahead and keep playing in the video.
targeting those sanctuary cities. Any of them from coast to coast could see a new flood of ICE raids.
Sanctuary cities are sanctuaries for criminals. And anybody that argues that aren't looking at the facts. I'm not saying every illegal alien is a public safety threat, but many are. So whatever that percentage is, help us get them out of the country and make that community safer.
And just today, the U.S. Supreme Court announcing it is clearing some controversial ICE tactics. Some critics now say immigration crackdowns are concerned that federal agents will be targeting people based on their race, how they speak, and where they work.
Over the weekend, a federal grand jury in Chicago.
And what does that sound like?
Right.
They're going to be targeting you, Jakes, because no ICE agent is going to be savvy enough to be able to say to themselves and differentiate a so-called Southern Kingdom that lives on the south side of Chicago from somebody that's an immigrant of the Southern Kingdom. That's not going to happen. You're not going to have a Haitian or a West Indian that was an immigrant and be differentiated from any nigga in Chicago, or vice versa. Any of the Northern Kingdom brothers and sisters that live in Chicago differentiated from any immigrant. They're pointing out that they will be targeting people based on their ethnicity, upon their nationality. They are coming after you tribes, man. This is the time that we're in. The devil is preparing to come with great wrath. He's furbishing that sword. Got anything up?
Con. So Romans 13 and starting verse 3 in the NLT, it reads, "For the authorities do not strike fear in people who are doing right." Right? So this is those who are serving Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai ultimately, man. Right? But in those who are doing wrong. So Jake that finds himself being swept away, right, in this flood that Esau is bringing forth, are those who were destined for judgment in the first place, man. Right? These are all wicked Israelites that we see being taken by ICE, being, having these raids and things of that nature affect them, man. Right? As we see the Southern Kingdom, they're gonna have those combatants against these National Guard troops and things of that nature, man. Right? But that's all for wicked Israelites, man. It says, would you like to live without fear of the authorities? Do what is right, and they will honor you. So ultimately, the elect are going to be covered, right, from these different perils, man. We're going to have to face, right, as the scriptures talk about, you shall be cast into prison 10 days, right? We're going to have to face our persecution, but we're not going to have that final judgment as 2/3 are going to have, man. Verse 4, the authorities are the Most High's servants sent for your good. But if you are doing wrong, of course, you should be afraid, for they have the power to punish you. And this is the power, that sword that Esau has been blessed with, man. Right? The rod of my indignation. Right? This is Esau being that tool of judgment that the Lord has set forth in the earth. So that's why when it says in the King James, it says, he shall not bear the sword in vain. Right? He's going to get the swinging on Jake, man. Right? And he's not going to miss. The only people who are going to avoid that sword are the chosen of Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai.
That's it.
I got some.
No, I was going to land back on that. That's why the scriptures speak about in Ezekiel, the 9th chapter, that the Lord is going to set that mark of exemption on the elect, right? Those that are sighing and crying for the abominations done in the midst, because all of these evils that's coming is for the 2/3. This is their judgment.
Exactly. Kind of finishing out. They are the Most High's servants, sent for the very purpose of punishing those who do what is wrong. So this is why we're seeing these things take place, right? This is why they're targeting Jake, in the manner that they are, right? Indiscriminately too, right? They don't care what you look like. They don't care if you speak English. They don't care how long your family has been, right? You're going to be a target of these coming raids, of these coming martial law attacks and things of that nature, man.
Yep. Let me see here. I got a quick precept for you right here, bro. Just to land back on that. This is Ezekiel chapter 21 and verse 8. It says, "Again, the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, prophesy and say, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, say a sword is sharpened and also furbished. It is sharpened to make a sore slaughter. It is furbished that it may glitter. Should we then make mirth? It contemneth the rod of my son as every tree. You want to speak on it?
Right, that sword, like it's speaking on the nuclear missiles, but it's also, when you go into that word furbished, it means to be brought back to its former glory. And what is Esau trying to do? He's trying to reestablish himself as that dominant force in the earth, man. Right? That's why he's coming against Israelites so hard. That's why he's going against all the other nations, right, so feverishly, man. Because he wants to, reestablish his sword, his power in the earth, right? They want to finalize it, rather, man. Right? They want to make sure that it can never be, thwarted again. That's the pride of Esau, Edom, man. But like I said, should we then make mirth, right? What state of mind should you be in seeing these things, coming down the pike, man? Right? Understanding that we're about to go into the darkest times known in history, right? Where should you be finding your comforts at? What should you be doing to align yourself with the will of Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai? The vast majority of people are going to be doing things to separate themselves, while the elect and the hopeful elect are doing things to get closer and closer to the Lord, man, so that we can have that hedge during these times.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. What do we see happening today, right? What's going on today? You got primary elections, right? You got primary elections going on in Charlotte, primary elections going on, well, particularly in Charlotte, North Carolina. I don't know about surrounding areas, but we have primary elections in Charlotte, where Jake is still, voting for these rulers that are of no profit, of no benefit, right? The scriptures speak about that in Lamentations, that, we have pretty much roughly paraphrasing, hope for a nation that cannot save us. Yeah. Trying to buy into this system, not understanding that the very system that you're trying to buy into is preparing to bring a sword to destroy you, man. Just because the rulers are trying to portray themselves as innocent, right? As the scriptures tell us about that in Revelations, which we'll get, matter of fact, let's grab it right quick, and then we'll jump back to that Ezekiel 21 real quick. This is Revelations 12. Bear with me one moment. Revelations 12. Or Salakia, 13. Revelations 13 and verse 11. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth. What is that beast? That beast is this revived Greco-Roman system, right? Which is exercised through America, NATO, and EU, but primarily the whore that sits on the beast, right? America is the one that's pretty much handling a lot of these affairs. Yep. And he had two horns like a lamb, speaking of that bipartisan system, right? A lamb, one that's innocent, one that's clean, right? That's how they try to portray this bipartisan democracy. And he spake as a dragon, going into how ultimately this devil, he has that forked tongue. He is that serpent going back to the garden, right? That was more subtle than any beast of the field, that is preparing to institute draconian measures to bottleneck the masses of the people into a world of chaos. You see? Yep. Jump back to this Ezekiel 21, read verse 9 for you. Read verse 11 for you. Matter of fact, I'll read verse 10. Ezekiel 21 and 10 is it sharpened to make a sore slaughter. It is sharpened to make a sore slaughter, excuse me. It is furbished that it may glitter. Should we then make mirth? It contemneth the rod of my son as every tree. And he hath given it to be furbished, that it may be handled. This sword is sharpened, and it is furbished, to give it into the hand of the slayer.
Right. This is Esau's blessing, man. Right. The ability to bring mass casualty events, right, at a whim. Right. The ability to destroy, right, as the scriptures say, the thief cometh not but to steal, kill, and destroy. This is what he's been perfected at, man. Right? And we're about to see that take place soon come, right, in grave fashion. Right? You got Jake, boasting against the system, Jake thinking that they can stand up and fight, to any type of degree. But they don't understand that this man is the perfect weapon of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai to bring forth judgment on the earth, right, to you Israelites, man.
Yep. I want to transition right quick to the NLT. Ezekiel 21 and verse 11, it says, yeah, the sword is now being sharpened and polished. It is being prepared for the executioner. And what do we see? The usage of a weapon, there has to be a stage that's prepared for that weapon to be utilized. And we're seeing that stage is being prepped right now. Right? Verse 12.
If I can add to you real quick.
Mm-hmm.
When you polish something, that means you're preparing it for show, right? Esau is showing his horns, right? He's preparing to show the world, right, his true intentions and true motives, man.
Yep. It says, Son of man, verse 12, Son of man, cry out and wail. Pound your thighs in anguish. For that sword, it will slaughter my people and their leaders. Everyone will die. It will put them all to the test. What chance do you have, or do they have, says the sovereign Lord Yahweh? And that's the question that's being posed, Jake. Jake is really out here on some bravado shit like, oh, we're going to be able to go toe-to-toe with the Department of Homeland Security, National Guard, and the military. You don't know your enemy for you to be speaking like that. Esau a bad dude when it comes to that. That's his blessing. That is his blessing. That's why to be able to have this wisdom is truly a blessing by way of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, because we understand what is about to take place, man. This devil is about to go into his bag, yo.
Oh.
You see?
Hey, like I said, what chance do they have, man? Right? You have no chance outside of the Lord, man. Trying to, combat this man through any level of carnal means is going to lead to your destruction, man. Right? So that's why it's saying, put them to the test, where it's going to be a trial of your faith. What do you really trust in? Right? Where is your confidence lying? Right? And we see the majority of people are putting their confidence in carnal means. Right? But when you trust in the spirit, then you can combat the flesh, man. Right? You can combat what Esau has prepared, because you're going to have that protection. Right? The rest, you're going to be, left to his devices.
Yep. Go ahead and continue the rest of this video. Actually, let me stop sharing because it did pop up that notice. So you had the audio had disconnected.
It is clearing some controversial ICE tactics. Some critics now say immigration crackdowns are concerned that federal agents will be targeting people based on their race, how they speak, and where they work.
Over the weekend, a federal grand jury in Chicago indicted this man, Oscar Uribe, a suspected leader of Mexico's notorious Sinaloa cartel. He's accused of overseeing drug operations in the Windy City, flooding the U.S. with fentanyl, cocaine, and heroin, and using murder and intimidation to protect the cartel's profits. He's facing terrorism, drug trafficking, and firearm charges. In upstate New York, the mayor of Fulton is asking the public to reach out to federal, state, and local leaders and demands they assist in bringing alleged illegal immigrants back home. This comes after federal agents raided a family-owned plant that makes nutrition bars last week. Dozens of workers were questioned, with nearly all taken into custody, according to the nonprofit Rural and Migrant Agency, whose staff witnessed the raid. In a statement, Mayor James Rice said, quote, "This is not a Republican versus Democrat issue. These actions disregard the U.S. Constitution, which provides every person with the right to legal due process." Governor Kathy Hochul condemned the raid on social media.
Well, there you go. You see? So again, us being the prophets of Yahweh Shemal Shai, we're going to continue to warn our people, because what Jake doesn't understand is the severity of how this devil is utilizing these means of allowing Jake to involve themselves in wickedness, allowing emotions to be festered up, right? So that he has grounds to knock your fucking head off.
Exactly.
You see? You got anything up?
This is Ezekiel 33:3. I'll start up 33:1. It reads, "Again, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, speak to the children of thy people, and say unto them, when I bring the sword upon a land, if the people of the land take a man of their coast and set him for their watchman, if he seeth the sword come upon the land, he blow the trumpet and warn the people." Right? And this is what we've been set up to do, is to blow that trumpet, to give that warning of what the Lord has destined for this place, man. Right? Understanding that, Jacob's trouble starts with Jacob, man. Right? The tribes are going to be the ones receiving the most harsh penalty because of their disobedience, man. Right? And we're giving you the warning to come and repent, right? To serve the Lord, to get on the good side, right? The right side of history, as people talk about, right? You get on the good side of the Lord so that you can avoid that total destruction ultimately, man.
Yep. Let's hold Jeremiah 30:7. Or actually, let's start at 1. Start at verse 1. Because everything that we about to see with Jake, man, look, this is the dragon. This devil is preparing to come down with great wrath. Matter of fact, let's grab that right quick. Revelations 12:12.
It's the book of Revelation, chapter 12 and verse 12. "Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time."
Mm-hmm. You speak on it.
Right? This is what we're seeing, man. Him preparing war. All these things are war tactics, man. Right? Preparing the blitz, having these surprise attacks. Right? This is all him setting forth, these different war maneuvers, right, on you Israelites, man. Right? He's ultimately doing it on the masses as a whole, but his focus is on Jake, man. And it's because he can see, his opportunity, the window closing, man. Right? So he knows how little time he has, so they have to amp up their intensity, man.
Right. Because what does he see happening? He sees the masses of Jake starting to wake up. He's seeing the masses of the world not being beguiled by his deception and sorcery. He's seeing all of this shit hit him. He like, what the fuck? Damn, let me try and throw out this enchantment right here. Let me try and throw out this psyop right here. And people seeing right through that shit because the Lord is allowing the secrets of Esau to be uncovered. He's being made bare before the masses of the people. And people ain't buying that shit. Jake isn't buying into the rhetoric of him being inferior. Jake is they are fulfilling prophecy, as the scriptures tell us. I believe it's in Isaiah 44. Right, how one will surname himself by the name of Israel.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We're seeing, the very thing that gives these demons, these devils night terrors. You see? And that is the restoration of the Lord's people. But we'll go ahead and play this video right quick. It's from the elder out in Vegas. Eve out here looking. Yo, you ever seen Snowfall? You're running for the feds. Like this is real shit, man.
Yep.
And she won't selling no coke. She was working an honest paying job, man. And that's the times that we in, man. 6 hours.
Me toca el sonido porque hoy me toca septiembre que me hace mi Hyundai de Sabana. Tiene que hablar conmigo. Eso es lo que pasa.
If I make a point out, this is showing you that pretty soon there's going to be no safe havens, right, in this country, man, right? They were talking about these places were safe zones for immigrants and things of that nature, but with the way they have Palantir and AI programs like that being set up, with the way you see them running into people's quinceañeras and graduations, right? So now what's stopping them from kicking in doors? What's stopping them? Like, they're already pulling people out of their jobs. You know, that's why they're pushing forth this martial law status, because then they can just forego the Constitution as a whole, and they can operate with impunity, man. That's why Trump is militarizing all these police forces, man.
That's it. Well said.
Ya pasaron 2 horas y media y ya están aquí. Ya están cerca. 6 horas aquí, encerrada.
Espérame en la entrada de aquí afuera, da la vuelta así. Aquí en toda la esquina. Afuera, dale, David, en toda la esquina, David, tu carro. Dale, la casa, el caso, dale.
So there were 452 illegals apprehended at the Hyundai mega plant construction site yesterday near Savannah. And I was the one that reported the information that I had to ICE. But it goes beyond just someone working illegally. Let me explain.
And I want to address something with this fucking Karen, this fucking Edomite. You Jakes are going to figure out real fucking soon, as we've been telling you, simple-minded Jakes that always wanted to appease to Esau. Esau could be saved. Please, they ain't all bad. You are going to figure out just how bad these devils are.
Mm-hmm.
Because this woman right here, she pretty much thwarted the lives of all of these Israelites under the guise of some bullshit. Look, we're going to hear her opinion. Not to mention that this raid is going to fuck up the economics within that Hyundai plant, because of those people that were living there, or pardon me, the people that were working there that were those Koreans. They were actually developing those people working in those plants for their skill set to know how to build these plants, or pardon me, to know how to build these vehicles, to know how to build this technology. See, Esau, you devils, man. The very thing that you are trying to stop, which is these immigrants from coming in, you are going to fuck your whole economy up, and that's beautiful.
Right.
We're going to listen to this fucking Edomite.
The information that I had to ICE, but it goes beyond just someone working illegally. Let me explain to you. These people are working for slave wages. Some are not getting paid. Some are being...
Nearly 500 people, most of them South Korea nationals, are in ICE custody tonight after what's being called the largest single-site enforcement operation in Homeland Security's 2-decade history. Yesterday's raid at a Hyundai manufacturing plant near Savannah, Georgia, was the result of a months-long investigation into allegations of illegal hiring at the site. Fox's Connor Hansen reports.
Federal agents arrested 475 workers after raiding a sprawling Hyundai EV battery factory under construction in Georgia. Most of them are South Koreans who were subcontractors in the country illegally, according to investigators.
Together, we are sending a clear and unequivocal message that those who exploit our workforce, undermine our economy, and violate federal laws will be held accountable.
Those arrested were handed over to ICE and brought to a detention center. Hyundai says none of them were direct employees. It's the largest raid so far as the Trump administration ramps up immigration enforcement.
This has been a multi-month criminal investigation where we have developed evidence, conducted interviews, gathered documents, and presented that evidence to the court in order to obtain a judicial search warrant.
The recently opened 2,000-acre campus is one of the largest economic projects in Georgia history. South Korean leaders were not happy with the news. Just over a week ago, its president visited the White House and pledged to invest billions of dollars in the U.S., including for battery manufacturing.
In Seoul, we also conveyed our concerns and regret through the U.S. Embassy today, urging special attention to ensure that the legitimate rights and interests of our citizens are not violated.
Governor Brian Kemp says Georgia National Guard troops will support ICE in Georgia, and hundreds will go to Washington, D.C. to help with federal crime-fighting efforts. In New York, Connor Hansen, Fox News.
See the elder got the precept on the screen. 2 Ezra 15 and 17, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. Because as we see that this ramp up, of people being unable to access different regions across the U.S. is attributed to this administration. Right? But it's all predicated by the will of the Lord. You see? Yeah, anything, bro?
Just real quick. This is Sirach chapter 12 and verse 10. Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. Right? Esau, all these Edomites are about to show their true colors, man. Right? They've been playing nice with Jake long enough, and they're sick of it. But what they don't understand is they have this delusion of this country, continuing on without slave labor or servantile workforce, man. So now they think that they can get rid of Jake from the work, these manufacturing facilities, these farm labor jobs, labor hands, construction, all of it. That's the foundation that America has been built on, is the slavery of the tribes, man. So now seeing these things take place, we're about to watch the economy go on the downturn, man. Right? You see what's going on in Nebraska, right? With these people can't afford to operate their farms anymore because, as the Edomite woman said, they were giving them unfair wages or something of that nature, right? Mm-hmm. But that's the only way this society can maintain itself, man, because they can't pay a living wage to these people, or else the product price is going to be astronomical, man, right? So then they're going to have to pay the regular workers more. Right, and so on and so forth. So the economy can't sustain itself without any a group of people in servitude, man.
Yep, and that shows you just how simple these Edomites are. That their hatred will literally blind them to the point where they will harm themselves. Exactly. Right. That's actually a precept right quick. So let me see here. This is Sirach chapter 14. Let me read this in the GNT. Give me 1 second. Sirach chapter 14 and verse 5. How can you be generous with others if you are stingy with yourself? If you are not willing to enjoy your own health? Let's just read it in the regular KJV. He that is evil to himself, to whom will he be good? He shall not take pleasure in his goods, right? Because Esau, right, he isn't understanding that he's being evil toward himself, right? He's being evil toward his people, trying to make them think that, oh, the direction in which this country is going to work in my favor, when it's not. It's working in the top 1%, right? It's working in the favor of the elites, right? And Esau is not going to take pleasure in these goods because look at the direction that the system is going. You see? Keep playing this.
Well, I gotta take solidarity. This weekend, defiance on display across the country. People protesting President Trump's plans to send the National Guard and immigration agents into Democratic-run cities. In a Latino neighborhood near Chicago's South Side, a parade in honor of Mexican Independence Day, lined with volunteers ready to sound the alarm at any sign of federal agents from ICE.
3 whistles consecutively means that there is ICE sighting. 1 continuous whistle, long whistle, means that someone is getting arrested.
Do you think you'll have to use it?
No, I have not had to use it, and I hope we don't.
The community now on alert following President Trump's threats to send federal forces into the country's 3rd largest city.
Chicago is a hellhole right now, but we're going in. I didn't say when, we're going in.
The president citing crime as his rationale, and on Saturday, posting what appeared to be an AI-generated image of himself in front of the Chicago skyline in flames and the phrase, "Shipocalypse now," saying, quote, "I love the smell of deportations in the morning," and quote, "Chicago about to find out why it's called the Department of War." But data from the Chicago Police Department shows crime is down 15% over the past 2 years. Murder and robbery down more than 35%.
Truthfully, I think he barks more than he bites. I think he likes making threats. I think he likes to put fear in people's hearts and minds.
And this is that cruel Lord. No, you see, as we've been going into several times over, right quick. It says Isaiah chapter 19 and verse 4. Excuse me. Isaiah chapter 19 and verse 4 says, "And the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel Lord." Who is that cruel Lord? Right? Trump. Okay. Because the scriptures tell us that Babylon the Great is modern day Egypt, right? Spiritual Egypt, spiritual Sodom, right? So these Babylonians, these Americans would be akin to Egyptians. "And the fierce king shall rule over them, saith the Lord, Yahweh of hosts." So the Lord has put a spirit on Donald Trump to conduct himself in the way that he is. Exactly. Right? Remember, the scriptures tell us that the king's heart is in the hand of the Lord. He turneth it whithersoever he will. So ultimately, Trump is moving in the direction that the Lord has set him up to do because we're in that time of judgment.
That's it.
You got anything, bro?
I was just going to add, man, we see Marcos here on the screen, right? This is a prime example of not, underestimating your enemy, man. That's the mindset Jake is in. They think that, he's all bark and no bite, right? Mm-hmm. But you're going to see soon come, right? That this man has pure evil intended for you, man, right? And you're not going to have any recourse because you didn't prepare yourself. You didn't prepare yourself in the spirit first and foremost, but then you move with this mindset as if these things aren't going to come to pass, man.
Mm-hmm. Right, real quick. This is Jeremiah chapter 6 and verse 22. It says, "Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, behold, a people cometh from the north country, and a great nation shall be raised from the sides of the earth. They shall lay hold on bow and spear. They are cruel and have no mercy. Their voice roareth like the sea, and they ride upon horses set in array as men for war against thee, O daughter of Zion." Now, this is speaking of ancient Babylon, right? But we understand that siege is being set up against these Israelites now, right? We're seeing that siege to overtake Jake is pretty much at the door, right? Verse 24, "We have heard the fame thereof, our hands wax feeble, anguish hath taken hold of us, and pain as of a woman in travail." So what we're going to see, like the brother Quanawaf has said, with this stage that's being set, Jake trying to be of the opinion, ain't nothing, ain't nothing major. You underestimating your enemy, and that's going to cause you to get harmed in the worst way. You got anything, bro?
No.
And one of the protesters telling me fear is contagious, but also saying so is courage. And Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker responding to President Trump yesterday, posting this tweet, which says the president of the United States is threatening to go to war with an American city. This is not a joke. This is not normal. Willie?
And many experts pointing out there's a clear constitutional problem for the president here, making it different than Washington. Adrian brought us in Chicago. Adrian, thanks so much.
The Trump administration is launching immigration raids across Chicago as the president threatens to also send in the National Guard. The Homeland Security Department is calling this Operation Midway Blitz. The agency says it will target undocumented immigrants with criminal records in the country's third largest city. The move comes as President Trump said again this morning.
I just want to make a quick point on that. Undocumented criminals. How are you going to source this data? Esau is preparing to utilize the Palantir technology. He's planning to utilize the Gideon technology, all of the various things that Esau has been talking about, the utilization of AI infrastructure to weaponize against civilians. He's preparing to do that now.
Yep.
And these are test grounds that he's going to use.
Because undocumented, right? Who's going to be undocumented in this near future is those who refuse the mark of the beast, man. Right? You refuse that chip. They, like you said, they've laid the grounds that they can run a blitz, right? To scoop up, round up, right? To ultimately, attempt to put to death anybody who's not documented under this system, man. Right? And we know that they're not doing this thing in orderly fashion, man. They're moving like when you go into that word blitz, it's a sudden, overwhelming attack. Right? They're not taking the time to see who's got paperwork and things of that nature, man. Right? They're shooting first and asking questions last, man.
Right. But he looked like an abuela, or she looked like an abuela. So,
thanks.
I just thought it was an abuela.
That in a separate move, he would like to send the National Guard to Chicago. Earlier this year, of course, he sent troops to Los Angeles to support ICE agents. And last month, he deployed the National Guard to D.C. to deal with crime.
We'd love to go into Chicago and straighten it out. Washington, D.C., you'll be happy to know, is a free and safe zone. We could do the same thing in Chicago, New York, Los Angeles. We did it. We saved Los Angeles. And I don't know why Chicago isn't calling us saying, please give us help.
President Trump claims crime is rampant in Chicago, but police data does show homicides. They're down 31% in the Windy City compared to the same time last year.
Last 5 months or so, because the official word that we got from ICE was that this was going to be an operation targeting people who are here in this country illegally, who have a criminal record. That is what they have always said. And according to activists on the ground today and over the weekend, they say they haven't seen a big uptick in federal arrests just yet.
All right. Nancy Cordes, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
If I could add real quick, when he said he's surprised Chicago isn't saying, please give us help, that's what they want in the country, man. That's what they want in the earth, is a state of desperation from the people. That's why they're pushing that order out of chaos. They're causing this chaos to ensue so that they can establish order, right? This is just lightweight compared to what we're about to see, because it's going to be complete sedition across the whole country, man. And they're going to be, waiting in the wings, so to speak, to offer people that sense of salvation, man.
Yep. Let me see. This is I got a quick precept for you, bro. This is Psalms chapter 94 and verse 20. I'm gonna try and pull this in there. Let me see here. KJV. This is Psalms 94:20. It says, "Shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee, which frameth mischief by law?"
Mm-hmm. This whole thing, this whole mischievous device, right, is being orchestrated, from the top down, man. Right, all of the constitutional amendments, right, all the legislations that get passed, they're being used to set forth these agendas, man.
Yep. And they're going to institute these things and allow the law to pretty much allow these decrees to be solidified. Like you said, they want the country to, be thrown into turmoil so that they can just come, hand and knees, begging, pleading.
Yep.
Let me see here. Salakia. Continue playing this video. Let me know if the audio still comes through with this.
Okay.
So,
you good?
This was going on, man.
Yeah.
Trump is about to deploy the National Guard to Chicago. And all I'm saying is this. Chicago is not going to turn out like Washington, D.C., I guarantee you. Chicago will not turn out like Washington, D.C. I guarantee you there'll probably be a war on our own soil if Trump deploys the National Guard to Chicago, Illinois. I really don't think it's a good idea, but he's serious about doing it. But I really don't think, man, it's not going to be no good into this. There's not going to be no good in this. So we'll see what happens, man.
Victory for the Trump administration after the Supreme Court ruled that immigration agents may stop and detain anyone they suspect is in the U.S. illegally. The decision lifts those restrictions on tactics used during immigration enforcement operations. NBC4's Conan Nolan joins us here in studio. And so, Conan, let's talk about what this now means for the immigrant community.
Well, it's a victory for the Trump administration, and those restrictions that were essentially enabled by a judge here in Southern California have been essentially overturned. Now, what is at issue here is what constitutes reasonable suspicion that someone may be in the country illegally. And in a move that was somewhat surprising today, the High Court issued an emergency order that halts the restrictions that had been imposed by a federal judge on ICE raids here in Southern California. The 6-3 vote of the U.S. Supreme Court is a victory for the Trump administration and the Department of Homeland Security. The High Court's conservative majority, at least temporarily, removing restrictions that had been placed on immigration and customs enforcement officers in the 7 counties of Southern California. LA-based federal judge Mame Frimpong had kept ICE agents from using factors such as race, language, where they are working, or what they are doing in formulating probable suspicion that someone may be in the country illegally. The judge said such considerations alone or together violated the Constitution's Fourth Amendment restriction on unreasonable searches and seizures. But a majority of the U.S. Supreme Court disagreed enough that today they stayed that court order, allowing ICE to operate as they had done in the past. Jessica Levinson is with Loyola Law School.
I think the Supreme Court's decision today gives the ability and authority for ICE agents to go to car washes and construction sites and look at the color of people's skin or their ethnicity, whether or not they're speaking Spanish or speaking in an accent, and to at least have a conversation about that person's immigration status. I don't think you can look at this as anything other than a win for the executive branch, a win for the Trump administration, a win for ICE agents who are saying, how else are we to enforce immigration law?
And again, some Jake may say, well, that doesn't concern me. I'm so-called black, right? But here it is, the immigration laws. They've been after the Haitians. They've been after the West Indians. They've been after all the tribes. Even Gad and Reuben have been bunched up into this when they first started to roll out immigration tactics You had the Council of the Gadites in the Midwest that pretty much were protesting and bringing to the attention in the media that, you know, they had members of their councils that were being harassed by ICE agents. So it's not a matter of, you know, this being solely a matter that's hitting the Northern Kingdom, but it does make sense spiritually, the fact that the Northern Kingdom will be getting hit first, but it's all the tribes, right? All of Israel is going to be hit by this. You got something up?
I just wanted to make a parallel to what we see take place with the stop and frisk laws, man. Right? Mm-hmm. That's essentially what we're seeing, right? Be reinstituted, right? So now instead of you looking suspicious or you fitting the description of a crime, now they can stop you just based on, you know, just what you look like, period, man. Right? And question the validity of your citizenship, right? And even in that, if you have proof, they can claim that it's fake, right? Or they can just grab you up with no cause, man. Right? That's why they've been taking away people's due process.
Right. Yep. Could you grab Isaiah 10:5, Bubba Sean? And we'll get a few more precepts and then we'll close.
It's the book of Isaiah chapter 10 and verse 5. O Assyrian, the rod of mine anger and the staff in their hand is mine indignation.
Mm-hmm. Right. The power of which these Assyrians have. Who is the modern day Assyrian? Modern day Assyrian is Esau, right? He is the rod of the Lord's indignation. He will be utilized as the whipping stick that will come against the tribes. Right? Can you read it?
I will send him against an hypocritical nation, and against the people of my wrath will I give him a charge, to take the spoil and to take the prey, and to tread them down like the mire of the streets.
Right. So the Lord is going to give Esau that charge, and we see that Esau is being given that charge. I mean, just from a sensible standpoint, the amount of money that's being poured into this agenda to pretty much come against the tribes, when this money could be allocated toward other things, and all of these Edomites are rallying behind it. That's the spirit that the Lord is putting into them, right? To come against the Israelites. You see? We'll continue to play this a little bit, and then we'll get Jeremiah 30:7. Or Jeremiah 30, excuse me.
The opinion, Brett Kavanaugh, one of the Supreme Court justices who signed the majority, indicated that the number of undocumented immigrants in Southern California is, in his words, extraordinary, and that it shouldn't be a surprise that immigration agents are conducting enforcement actions in this region. The three liberal justices strongly dissented. Justice Sotomayor, in her dissent, says we should not live in a country where the government can seize anyone who looks Latino, speaks Spanish, and appears to work in a low-wage job. We also got a response from the mayor of LA. I want the entire nation to hear me when I say this isn't just an attack on the people of LA. This is an attack on every person in every city in this country. Today's ruling is not only dangerous, it's un-American and threatens the fabric of personal freedom in the United States of America.
So we're hearing these statements. What happens next, though?
Well, keep in mind, this is an emergency order. It does not refer to the points and authorities, the main argument over what this judge was saying. That could come back and you have a whole hearing and they go over, whether or not the merits of this decision is accurate or not. The fact, though, that they voted to stay the execution of this court order indicates they pretty much believe Donald Trump will win. And the administration will win when it comes to the full court. So what it means now is that LA is now being treated the same way as the rest of the country, which is they can take all sorts of things into consideration. It's not probable cause. We're not going to arrest you, but we can go to a car wash because we have research to show that a lot of undocumented people work at car washes. And if we believe somebody is possibly here illegally, I can talk to you and perhaps detain you until we find out whether or not you should be deported.
So then what is the recommendation for those who are American citizens, let's say, and they are racially being profiled? is there concern for them? Because a lot of them were being detained.
True. I'll tell you one thing that everybody should do, whether you're here illegally or not, is not run. Because as soon as you run, that's an evidence of guilt, and that gives them reasonable suspicion to arrest you or detain you. So again, there are a number of strategies. Immigration rights groups have been talking about that, whether or not you can cooperate. You don't necessarily have to cooperate with an immigration agent. You're not forced to do anything. The fact, though, is that they are no longer bound to stay away from construction sites, car washes, and those kind of places in order to seek people who they believe here are illegal or undocumented.
All right, Conan Nolan, thank you so much.
That's it. Let's see here. Yep. Yeah, the elders brought out the exact same precepts we went into. It's the spirit. Yeah, so boom. Yep, Jeremiah 30. Let's go ahead and get that, bro. Jeremiah 30, we'll start at verse 1.
So book of Jeremiah chapter 30 and verse 1. And the word that came unto Jeremiah from the Lord, saying, Thus saith the Lord, power of Israel, saying, Write thee all the words that I have spoken unto thee in a book. For lo, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will bring again the captivity of my people Israel and Judah, saith the Lord, and I will cause them to return to the land that I gave to their fathers, and they shall possess it.
Mm-hmm.
And these are the words that the Lord spake concerning Israel and concerning Judah. For thus saith the Lord, we have heard a voice of trembling, of fear, and not of peace.
Right, of fear and not of peace. Right, there is no peace that's being spoken of in these days amongst the community of the Israelites, or excuse me, not community, but amongst the tribes of Israel. Right. Only fear of what will happen to me, fear of being racially profiled, fear of losing rights, fear of being shifted back decades after decades of civil progression and civil rights efforts. There's fear.
Mm-hmm. Real quick, it says Jeremiah 22 and 25, and I will give thee into the hand of them that seek thy life, and into the hand of them whose face thou fearest, even into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, and into the hand of the Chaldeans. Right, so Jacob's being given into the hand of these devils, right? The man who they fear, right, for their judgment, man. You know. Back in Jeremiah 30 and 6, ask ye how, and see whether a man doth travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins, as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness.
Right, that's the spirit that's floating amongst the tribes. Some are getting hit harder than others right now because it's spotty, right? You got Chicago, you got LA, right? That are really like the main focal points. You have DC as well, but this is going to be a thing that's going to take over all of Babylon, right? As the LA mayor has said, right? This is not just an issue for LA, but for every citizen in this country. For all of you Israelites, this is going to be the reality of the future, right? Keep it
Jeremiah 30 and 7. Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it.
Right. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, right? But he shall be saved out of it. Who is he? Right. He is the elect. Right. And that's the most important piece of all of this that we were going into in this news and prophecy, right? That's pretty much it. You Jakes that's out there that's reluctant to repent, look out to the world, see what's out there. See what's going on in this current kingdom that you're so adamant that you want to stay in. And think about if this is even worth fighting for, right? As we read in that Ezekiel 21 in the NLT, right? It said, what chance do you have? what chance do they have? The Lord gonna put you to the test. The Lord is going to allow you to go into the hour of temptation. The Lord is going to allow you to go ahead and be given into the hand of your enemies. He's going to allow these things to happen. Where do you want to be on this side of things? Like the brother Kwanawaf has said, what side of history you want to be on? You want to be the victor or you want to be the victim?
Exactly.
You got anything else, bro?
Come real quick. James 1:12. Blessed is the man that endureth temptation, for when he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life, which the Lord hath promised to them that love him. Right. So just going back on that point, that you have to endure these trials, man. You have to endure these temptations. Right. This is going to be a severe trial and test of our faith, man. Right. But we understand, like it says, the Lord promised these things to those that love him. Right. So we just continue to pray to endure, until the end, that we may receive that promise, man.
That's it. That's it, bro. Hey, but with that, Lord willing, you brothers and sisters were edified through the Holy Spirit. We're going to close giving our praise, our honor, and our glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Kadash. Who honors as always to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone that taught us his truth and rule well. Peace, blessings, and mercy to the house of David. Habayafta, without the hopeful elect. To you all we say shalom.
Shalom.